Yeah, 100%. I mean, even even from the side of Red, they threw 4 bans at him, coming in with 1 extra ban in the second ban phase. So yes, this is a guy that is most certainly the hyper carry coming into this team as well. And you know, I've been speaking with Jinsu a lot, our lovely interview lady for this tournament so far. She loves this team, and she has so much passionate stuff to say about it. It is all about the bot lane. And Farfetch, you know, a support that has received some flack as well this time around. He's looked better. He's looked more comfortable with Holy Phoenix. It's no longer just the fact that Holy Phoenix is the one carrying these team fights or these laning phase. It's actually like, as a duo, they are looking stronger. And I think we saw some of that in day 2 as well, despite Farfetch having a little shaky game on the Nautilus. But that just seems to be the nature of Nautilus at this tournament.
It definitely does. Nautilus seems very much sink or swim, and there's been more sinking than swimming recently. And coming back to that point about just the Wildcats being really loved in Turkey at the moment, it feels like this full Turkish lineup with no imports. You know, we had Balulu in the past, we had Korean imports in the past from Turkey. Like, the region has rallied behind them, and picking up the win yesterday against Red is huge for them, especially if they can continue their winning ways here, because then they're at 2-1. Red only have 1 win, PSG have no wins. You're looking very much like you're getting through to the Rumble stage.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like it so far. Let's not forget that there's still a second round robin to be played against Red and all the others, so the adaptations will be able to come through. Coming in with an Ahri first pick to no one would seem like a surprise at this stage so far. Just a strong champion to gain priority, strong skirmishes. There's not really anything she lacks at the moment. She's just all in all strong pick coming through. It does allow you to go in the other champions like Vegas, as we've seen in the past. That will allow for you to have stronger skirmishing, punish team fight compositions with shorter range, but they seem like they want to answer aggression with aggression, coming in with the LeBlanc. And when we usually see LeBlanc, we want to see a strong 2v2 from the jungle coming out with it.
Yeah, we'll see where Ferret decides to go with the jungle here. Of course, Ahri alongside a strong jungler as well does give you that early game 2v2. The charm into some CC can do a lot of work, and we'll see where Juhan decides to go when PSG get their second rotation in. For the moment, though, LeBlanc alongside something like a Lee Sin would be very strong. Instead, Istanbul Wildcats decide we're going to prioritize making sure Holy Phoenix is on something where he's comfortable.
I can understand this, because you go into the second ban phase without having picked an AD carry. You know this Tristana is just going to be taken away after his performance from yesterday. It also allows you to get a counter pick on 3 here on right side if that's what you're looking for. You already got a decent matchup into the mid lane. Now you can get a decent matchup from the support point of view as well, unless from the side of PSG, of course, that decide to go with an AD carry for themselves here, which would prompt the likes of Wildcats so far to hold on for that until this 4th pick instead. So I'm actually expecting AD carry to come through here in response. Then we'll probably see a jungler from the side of Wildcats, and then we'll probably head into the second ban phase after that. But let's see what they want to play for. Is it facilitating, or is it something Unified can carry on?
Well, Unified's looked towards the Xayah yesterday. Did go the lethality build, which I think we all feel has been pretty nerfed on 12.8 and 12.9 side, and we'll see if he decides to continue along that route. But at the moment, instead, will be a top laner for Hanabi. Gnar, one of his signature picks. Very good at it, gives you good team fight pressure as well, which is something we were talking about.
It's interesting though, because to me, and at least from what we saw at the LCO playoff, or not LCO rather, but the PCS, Unify had an incredible damage percentage. I think it was 32% of the team coming through. He is the carry in the team fight scenarios. So now being in a position where in the second ban phase you can get banned out further, and specifically into a bot lane like Holy Phoenix and Farfetch, is to me a little different from what I would usually see PSG succeed at. But obviously having something Hanabi, who's been aggressive in the past, not so much this season, it is still something you can play for instead on the top side, although you have blind pick Gnar that does give some counter matchup over to Starscreen instead.
It definitely does, but because Wildcats have decided to prioritize getting their support in the Nautilus, now PSG have the option. We'll get rid of some of those strong picks in the top lane. You know, maybe remove the Camille, make sure that they don't get that aggressive top laner for Starscream, maybe get rid of the Aatrox as well. Xayah taken away by Wildcats. They are really pinching that AD carry pool because PSG decided instead to look to top on that 3rd pick on blue side.
And I honestly wouldn't be surprised to also see a Kaiser ban come through here as well, just due to the fact that we've seen some play from it. If you know they're playing up towards the top side, or if that's what you're theorizing, then Jhin ban could work as well. But once again, it just goes back to the fact that because PSG waited, now in the second ban phase, Unified is going to be struggling a little with the champion pool at least.
Things like the Kaiser, as you say, the Jhin, the Ezreal still an option. We've seen Vayne as well, although perhaps into that composition you wouldn't want to play Vayne too much. But PSG are focusing down those top laners, getting rid of the Gangplank. Leona, the second banned by Wildcats. They leave the pool in terms of AD carries relatively open. You've got 2 or 3 there that would still be in sort of the higher pick priorities so far at MSI. PSG, though, now probably looking towards... there's a possibility of a jungle ban here if there's something you're really scared of. You could get rid of an early skirmishing jungler like the Xin, even the Viego as an option. Viego LeBlanc can do a lot of work, and there it goes.
There you have it, Medic. Nice shout out from that point of view. And now it's up to see what Wildcats will be putting in the counter pick position. Obviously, your top lane already knows he's going up against the Gnar. Your jungler knows he's in a position against the Lee Sin. And that is just going to be a Volibear coming through over from the side of Ferry, the champion we haven't seen all too much of, but once again, great facilitator. And if you want to play down towards the bot side, if you want to play for the mid 2v2 with the jungler, definitely a strong skirmisher in the early game.
Oh, definitely. And for people wondering, like, why did they pick jungle here? Why didn't they pick top when they already know what top laner they're playing against? The answer is, a lot of junglers aren't that dependent on the enemy composition. You pick a jungler to do something like, do we want early ganks? Cool. Something like a Volibear works well. Do we want a tank? Volibear also sits there. But top laners can be really shut down by the entire enemy composition rather than just a couple of pieces.
And to round out the composition from PSG, I'm thinking like either we go the Renata route where you get a little bit of an Enchanter next to the Aphelios, or you go for the Alistar to kind of just beef it off into the Nautilus. Picking Rakan into Nautilus would be a bit scary due to the fact that Nautilus CC is incredibly good at shutting him down. And yes, it is just going to be the Renata route coming through. I think those were the kind of two options you had from PSG. Obviously, they synergize incredibly well. The extra movement speed and attack speed you get on the bailout from Aphelios, you don't always need to die. Just having that on top of you in teamfights is incredibly scary. And Renata is a great peeler. She loves to kite back as well. The same does Aphelios, so it's just a good stylistic. But let's see what the composition gets rounded up with. And there you have it. Because they now know, oh, they have an enemy in the AD carry pod. That's going to be their strong carry. Let's just get the long-range ultimate to come through from the side of Ornn with the engage, with the follow-up as well. Goes back to the point you were just speaking about, Medic.
And the low mobility in the AD carry as well. If this is something like an Ezreal, perhaps you don't go on there, because Ezreal can always just jump away. Gale Force, still an option for Unify, but we'll see where he goes in terms of itemization as the game goes on. So, Goldberg, we have our compositions lined up here. What are we feeling? To me, I'm not really seeing any of that split push shenanigans. I'm seeing two compositions that really want to go head-to-head in a 5v5.
Yeah, and I'd agree with you. I think from the side of the top lane, you know, Gnar is going to have some prior into the Ornn just due to the fact that he's ranged. Usually Joe comes through in the first 3 levels, or on level 3 instead, when you get agency to your W, some more mobility, so Ornn doesn't have a good trade back. In the mid lane, it's going to be interesting because Ahri with the charm can stop the distortion coming through from the LeBlanc. So it's about playing it cleverly around the waves, so there's at least a minion blocking you, but then that comes down to position. But obviously, the fight for push in lane, the fight for the skirmishes, going to be very important.
Every game is about jungle.
But even more so, I think, here.
Definitely.
Because last game at least, if we take a look at like Order versus G2, right? You know, there was an Evelyn, so it's very much about, oh, let's go in and counter jungle it instead. But this game, Lee Sin, Volibear, they want to do the same. And the same with Ahri here. Like, if you can win the 2v2 in the mid lane, you get yourself ahead there. You're shutting 2 people down. You're opening up the map pressure even further to move it down towards the bot side. If you succeed with the 2v2 in the mid lane for Wildcats, and then you move it down to bot lane, they're going to be in so many troubles from the side of Unified and Kaiwing. So let's see how the early game plays out, because stabilizing or getting ahead is going to be incredibly important.
Very much agree with you there. Big game for both these teams. PSG sitting at 0-2 after their 3rd PCS win in a row. They have struggled here on the international stage to really make a name for themselves, but Wildcats definitely an opposition that they are eyeing up as a possible win. We talked a little bit about the change in style for PSG coming into playoffs, and I think we see that evident in this game as well. In the regular season, they were dumpstering folks in lane. They were all over the map, just absolutely dominating through the first 14 minutes. And then in playoffs, they moved much more towards this slower, teamfight-orientated, scaling style. And I think we see that in their composition here.
Honestly, I had such a hard time reading what PSG was about, but specifically because you're mentioning what you are right now. Like, how do you suddenly just slow down as a team compared to what you did in regular season? And I also think that's why they've had some of the losses here. I actually think they digressed a little bit in terms of what gives wins in a meta like this, and specifically at this MSI meta as well, where it's so much about these early skirmishes, the small team fighting as soon as you hit 6. That's why we see Wukong be so prevalent as well, right? That's why we see the Jarvan still come through, because getting a laner ahead in the early game is much easier to play up for than playing on the open map like the Twisted Fate that we've seen some teams falter with.
A bit of damage in the bottom lane. Early ward from Unified and Kaiwing. Hook coming in from Farfetch as well. He's got the Glacial Augment, so no shield for him, no Aftershock for him. Cleanse coming out from Holy Phoenix. Unified ticking away. No cleanse, but does have the heal now. Summoner spell advantage over to the PSG bottom lane.
Oh, but at least with the range advantage into support pool here from Kaiwing into the melee of Nautilus, you will get the push first. You can only really play when you have the hook. If the bot lane of Wildcats now got level 2 first, could have for sure tried going in there, but yes, Unified is looking low, but he's got the Sephiroth, and he still has heal. So from the side of PSG, still in a comfortable position.
In a really good position. And Kaiwing actually going for the Spell Thief's Edge here on the Renata. Sometimes we do see Relic Shield just for that little bit of extra tankiness, a little bit of extra sustain in the lane. But when you know you're playing into a melee matchup like this, you just have so much more time to auto-attack, to harass with your E, and it becomes very difficult for Farfetch and Holy Phoenix to step up.
Okay, so junglers right now, both of them are pathing down towards the bot side. Wolves have been skipped so far from Ferret. He's going to be taking the blue buff, and he's got two decisions. Either you can move down towards the bot side, you can try and skirmish there, see if you can get them. I don't think that's what he's going to be doing, because they're crashing the raid right now for PSG, which means a slow push will come back. So I think he's going to try and path up towards top side, knowing on the side of PSG that Volibear path bot, maybe sometimes they'll think he's gone for a reset, and we've seen some teams then mistakenly thinking he's on the bot side, then die on top side instead.
For the moment though, Ferret decides against doing, as you say, his Wolves and his Krugs. Is going to path down towards him. Means his gank timer is a little bit earlier than Zhuhan's. Handshake back from Kaiwing. Flash forward. Kaiwing locked up. Has to try and flash away, but can't escape. The chase is on. Ferret there. Kaiwing first to fall. Farfetch takes the kill. Zhuhan, you're not going to follow that one in.
And there you have it. I just stand corrected immediately. I thought for sure as a bot lane you would know you would need to have the slow push because Volibear is coming through. But they disrespect the fact that Ferris has skipped the Wolves camp, skipped the Crocs camp. Because of that, he's there earlier and he's shutting down a bot lane who's already used some summoner spells.
And Kaiwing not respecting the flash on the hook initially as well. Obviously not the easiest of reactions to do, but because he got hooked, perhaps thinking Zhuhan would be there in time. Zhuhan now will be losing his Razor Beaks. Farfetch shadowing here. It's smart from Istanbul Wildcats, making sure that if Zhuhan was here for the fight, they would have a man advantage, as you say, don't do it. And it will be stolen by Ferret.
And that's what they gain, you know, that he helps out the bot lane helps him out a little bit, trying to get some counter jungler come through. And then that extra pressure has now led to Seren being just shadowed a little bit while he's pushing in the wave. There's not much that PSG can get on the other end. Yes, you can try and move into the enemy jungle, but the Raptors have not respawned yet. So Zhuhan, he's going to have to settle for Scuttle Crab.
Farfetch doing the right thing, as you say, shadowing his mid laner, making sure that wave pushes in, can use the Relic Shield stacks. It does steal a small amount of XP away from the
Do you know how many mid laners cries about that? It's just like, I'm
as
just
two
here to
support
help.
mains, we've been there so many times. Farfetch will be spotted here, as will Seren. Unified and Kaiwing, no summoners between them, but they do have Gravitum. And even though they're only level 2 with this wave pushing in, we'll see if Wildcats want to go for the full dive. Double TP is available from PSG. Bay in a position to TP in. Level 3 now hit. There's the first TP. Graviton propped on Holy Phoenix. Handshake back. Double stun coming in. Bay looking for the chase. Flash charm just short. Seren dives in once again with a distortion. Ferret trying to get away. No flash, remember, on that Volibear from the initial play. PSG, though, able to react, do have to burn a TP to do so.
And that's the thing. They continue,
Holy Phoenix starting in. They don't know Zhuhan's here. A great charm onto Holy Phoenix. He'll get one, but he will pay for it with his life. And now the chase is on. Good dash from Seren just away from the handshake. But Zhuhan, with the safeguard forward to a minion, gets a double on the lead.
And there we have it. That gives you priority. So the TP initially was wasted. They didn't get anything out of it. But then Wildcats, they opt in for the hook. They think they see a kill. But even then, Bailout was available. So if you kill Diari, it would just be traded back immediately.
Actually, really like the movement as well from Hanabi. Comes towards the mid lane, make sure that's waves pushed.
Really good shifting.
Yeah, really good shift from Hanabi. He'd already shoved in top wave on not the quickest wave clear, not the easiest wave clear, so he had to catch it towards that top side. And because of that, then Zhuhan knows he's got a bit of free time with the wave underneath the mid lane to invade. He steals away the Razor Beaks, and it's this knock-on effect, the dominoes that happen after you make a play like that. You lose tempo on the map, and this is what we mean when we talk about tempo.
Yeah, 100%. But initially, I actually really liked the rotation from Wildcats. I thought it was clever getting the TP out. I think it's the re-engage where you overcommit a little bit that it goes wrong. If you don't make that, well, you're still going to be ahead. You wasted TP, and they wasted a lot of time trying to go down and defend in the bot side, as you can already see. With the jungle having to go down on the bot side, it doesn't matter all too much, but the routing currently from the side of Ferret is, rather on the opposite side of the jungle, of course, from the PSG, is that he's on the top side. They're respawning on the top side. So having to go down on the bot side, waste a couple, like 20, 30 seconds. So going out here, not re-engaging, that would have been great. You stopped them in terms of efficient pathing. Because you didn't, well, this is what happens.
And I think Farfetch just sees the bailout fall off Bay there and thinks we can burst him. Tristana can jump back out. We're in an okay position, but the reaction for PSG is good. Call of the Forge God used in the top lane there. Maybe just to stop Hanabi from backing the wave, not in the best of shapes for him. Ferret is up here, only level 4, currently on the volley bear. A little bit delayed, of course, in his jungle clear. And Hanabi with the wave in a compromising position for him. Just wants to be close enough to get the XP, maybe step forward, get a minion here or there.
Would have actually loved to see Ferret get aggressive, try and counter jungle on the blue side. You can already see on the minimap some great vision coming through from Wildcats. But since they didn't have the intel on where Juhan was on the map, could have just walked into him, and so they decided not to opt into it. And now they're on the bot side where Juhan's the one with all the vision. So knowing these members will come in, he doesn't have a ward.
Yeah, so he had a control ward in his inventory. I think he was trying to wait to see if he could let the warding totem come back up in time to jump across, but invests 75 gold to make sure he doesn't give the enemy team 300, and that is a worthwhile trade in my opinion. Yeah,
and so far you can just see it, right? They're playing on different sides of the map. You take a look at the bot side of the map, that's where PSG has lit all the vision. Up on the top side of the map, well, that's where Wildcats has all their vision so far. So it's going to be interesting to see now with Ferret. Can clear up the red buff, can try and look towards the top side, skirmish a little bit. Hanabi, he's going to have to play cleverly and have to make sure that he's not put in a position where he's able to get capitalized or get pushed upon him when Seren finally gets that pressure in the mid lane.
You see Starscreen as well going for the Warden's Mail here in the top lane, just trying to negate as much damage from that Gnar as possible. Often you see a Barmy Cinder first on the Ornn for a bit of that wave clear, but here the extra armor when you're playing a ranged into melee matchup just makes more sense. Means that you're not getting chipped away as easily by your opposing laner. 8 minutes in though, pretty even between these two teams. Not a lick of gold between them, you know, 100, 200 here or there. And although PSG had a good reaction down towards that bottom side, it's Istanbul Wildcats very much in a strong position themselves.
I like what PSG is doing here though, because when you hit the 8-minute mark, supports will usually go up towards the Herald, but they've outlined from this, and because of this they can keep the pressure up towards the bot side. They're forcing the hands of Wildcats, saying, well, you can't use all the members on the top side trying to get the Herald, but now that they then spot the jungler Yuhan on the bot side, they can just start it up with Ferret instead.
Aphelios with good guns there as well, unified with the Crescendum, that white gun. The closer you stand to a tower, the quicker you auto-attack. So you could just stand right next to it, auto. And it becomes very easy for you to take towers down. Yuhan looking for something here.
That's great.
Pull back. Farfetch going to have to try and survive under the tower, but there's 4 people here, and Yuhan gets his 3rd of the game. Jumps away, dies! He dies to the final tower shot, and the Ignite taken away. Farfetch will take it 7. Yeah, that's not how you get over a wall, my friend. And just couldn't quite jump across, but still good play there by Istanbul Wildcats to answer with a kill of their own.
But crucially, it's Farfetch that gets the shot down. So now knowing that Johan can get aggressive where he no longer has a shot down upon him, whereas the support that has collected up on him, you really don't mind that 1-for-1 there. You still get the plating, you still... I mean, you lose to Riftel and you lose to Drakes. You know what? I take back my statement. From the side of Wildcats, they're super happy about this.
Because 2 plates already down when this fight begins, Gullborg, and you can see what they're trying to do, but the damage from Holy Phoenix, actually absurd. Perhaps not expecting him to stay around and fight.
And there you have it. Yeah, it's just a blast coming through. Bailout's not really going to do anything with no champion around you to clear up the kill. And that's just going to allow, from the side of Wildcats, to get a little bit aggressive. Ferret can give the blue buff over to his mid lane and can start shadowing towards the bot side. Get this gold injection into Holy Phoenix. Get that win condition rolling, as we see from our offering from Wildcats.
You can see Holy Phoenix 500 gold ahead towards that bottom side of the map. The only big discrepancy is Juhan being about a K up himself. Ferret's actually gone for the futures market on this volley bear, just trying to get those spikes a little bit quicker. Currently Barmy Cinder and the plated steel camps for him. We'll see how they use this Rift Herald, because that's really the next big thing for Istanbul Wildcats and for PSG to try and respond is if you can get this Herald down where you invest the gold, probably towards Holy Phoenix, as you said, and whether or not PSG are able to react and stop you from taking 3 or 4 plates.
So they're slowing down the tempo a little bit. They're making Ferret clear his topside camps, but this allows him instead to just clear the camps, move into Seren's bot lane, force away Bay, and then move it into the bot lane afterwards to try and just come as 4 units, make the Rift Herald play, and then set it up for Holy Phoenix, who's just come off a reset. Question is then, how are you going to react on PSG? I think they're reading the play a little bit by moving Juhan down towards the bot side again.
Juhan already with that Gore Drink complete. Hanabi's going for the Hull Breaker here on the Gnar. Of course, has been hit with the Nerf Bat a couple of times, but still works relatively well if you want to be in a side lane. Starscreen with the Swag Ignite. Walks away, just rotating through his unsealed spellbook there, wants to get that TP back up. Ferret a little bit caught out, but with the chase on here from Seven, we will see Ferret ulting away. Seven's going to land the chains, but can't stay around. Skywing in, Zuhan able to force him out.
And that's just done on a wave a little too early there. You wait for Seren to get that mid lane priority, you then move it down, then you'll be put in a good position. But there we have it, the rotation we just talked about. 2 members in the mid lane, get the prior, move it down towards the bot side, commit to the Rift Herald play. Once again, it is being read by PSG. Juhan is down here, but this bot lane turret should be sure to fall.
Farfetch pulled back, flashes away. Juhan looking for the kill here. Farfetch though with a good depth charge. Damage coming in from the side. The Gravitum into the chase. Tower will fall, but Ferret now only has the flash to get away and will utilize it. Hostile takeover, very slow. Istanbul Wildcats fast enough to pounce away from that one. Bay goes in with another Spirit Rush. Doesn't have any more charges, but Istanbul Wildcats have felt the bad side of their greed before, and this time, well, they're going to go back in. Charm going in. Seren, of course, can jump back to the Dragon Pit.
But good play initially from the side of Wildcats. The problem is then Farfetch. He seems to be on a different page than the rest of his teams. Goes aggressive. They still get the turret, but dying there was really not necessary. Although you still get the map priority afterwards. You can now move Holy Phoenix around the map. You can move him up towards the top side if that's what you want to. It does allow you to still have this win condition as the AD carry that we know Wildcats love to have in Holy Phoenix.
Yeah, they've been funneling bombs into him all game as well. Holy Phoenix here. We're able to get a lot of the gold out of these plates. PSG trying to react in a 3v4 initially. Farfetch not timing the buffer there on his Q means that he's pulled back by the handshake.
But you know, right, PSG, they knew exactly what the play was. When you have Rift held on, the bot lane turret is already low. It's not where you stop the turret from falling. But them getting a kill, you know, at least it's something.
Yeah, definitely is. Kills are something. Sorry, I totally lost where I was going to go with my next point now. I agree with you. Kills are great. Currently, though, still even between these two teams. Bot lane tower falling does, as you say, unleash Holy Phoenix on the map a little bit. He's got the Kraken Slayer complete, but more plates for PSG down towards this bottom side because Holy Phoenix being moved up towards the top side. Starscreen a little bit late coming down here means that some more gold will be pushed into Bay in that mid lane position. Overall, 1,000 gold lead for Holy Phoenix, but 700 towards Zuhan and Hanabi actually sitting about 900 gold ahead as well on this NAR.
Yeah, but you mean, you take a look at the Tristana, right? 0-1-3, and he's got 5,600 gold, the most on the map, and it just goes back to what we talk about with Wildcats playstyle. They feed him everything they can. Plating, minions, jungle camps, whatever you can get on the map, he'll have it. It's on the menu, and that has been the win condition from Wildcats. It's this star AD carry that you just play around. You see it as well in the composition. You have the frontliners, you have the front to back, and Holy Phoenix, he's going to be the guy to watch once you finally get these 3 items to come through. He's the highlight player that PSG needs to shut down.
You can see how far ahead he is, just generally 700 gold ahead of the nearest chasing opponent. Ferret here gaining control of the top side jungle as well because he knows he's got the man advantage. Holy Phoenix and Farfetch up here. Tower plates have fallen, but still turret gold very available for Holy Phoenix as he should be able to take down this tower.
And furthermore, if you take down the top lane turret, you can get deeper vision in the enemy jungle on the top side. What's that? That's spawning in just a little under 1 minute. Oh wait, second Rift Herald as well. So the deeper vision you can get, the more aggressive you can get from Wildcats, and the more secure it will be to take that Herald. But crucially, there's another objective spawning at the same time. It will be the Infernal Drake, albeit Wildcats don't really seem to priority that right now.
Don't really prioritize getting themselves
the word for it.
control down towards the bottom side. I do want to talk a little bit while we have a lull state. You know, people are pushing lanes forward, people are catching the waves. Holy Phoenix is moving around the map. Right? Let's have a look at Kaiwing's itemization as this dragon is taken by Zuhan. He has gone towards the Bandle Glass map. And in the last game, we talked about how Renata, or in this game actually, we talked about how Renata can be quite tanky, and in the last game. And Locket is what you tend to see on Renatas. Now, Bandle Glass Mirror could be any of a few items. Shirelia's is always up there. Moonstone a possibility as well. I've seen a few Moonstone Renatas. But as a Renata aficionado, Gulborg, hit me with your thoughts on why you would change the itemization. And
I'll give you a second to answer that one.
Yep.
And let's see if they actually want to go for the on here.
Why would you change your itemization away from the standard Locket build?
Okay, so I think at least when you have an Aphelios to play for, if you decide to go Shirelia, that has kind of been the key so far. Once you have either the Jinx or the Aphelios, even when you saw Thresh players go for Shirelias, you know it's for that extra movement speed on the Lantern. Starscreen, how good's your weak side? Let's have a look at it.
For the Ghost Charm, just short. Good enough weak side. Ghost into Exhaust. Picked off the Summoner Spellbook, and he will lose the tower, but he survives with his...
Yeah, that turret was destined to fall anyway. Now with 2 members down towards the bot side, you know, you have a Rift Herald. You can try to push in that's mid lane now instead. Seren just got top lane priority. He's going to be moving in now as well. Ferret coming through. Question is if Starscreen can have a respawn. He does have teleport. It has become unleashed. So we may see a little skirmish, or at least some posturing from both teams around this mid lane turret in terms of control.
Going back to the Shirelia's point, I agree with you. I think it gives you a bit more safety for your Aphelios. Unified also gone for the Gale Force here to try and get himself out of some possible engages later on.
Another thing is when you see two tanks and you know the team fights are going to be extended, you can't go for a Moonstone, but let's see how this one pans out though. Rift Herald has been deployed, and mid lane turret falls.
Tower goes down, Zuhan flashes away, Everforce across the wall into the charm, they're looking for Ferret, unstoppable but stopped in his tracks, Zuhan dives away, Hanabi now on the front line, Infernon doing a lot of damage as well as Starscreen has to flash away himself, Hanabi still on the chase, another charm connects, 7 dives away, but Starscreen and Farfetch have no such luxury. PSG lose their tower but win the fight.
Absolute monstrous hostile takeover came through from Kaiwing there, set PSG up so nicely. Yes, they lose the mid lane turret, but they'll be able to trade it back, and they get a few kills, which enables them to finally get a gold lead in this game.
1,000 gold ahead now for the PCS representatives looking for their first win here at MSI. Last year, they went all the way to the semi-finals, took games off RNG in the Rumble stage, and 3-1 in that semi-finals. But so far, they've struggled in 2022.
Yeah, one would say staying around after this one is a little bit too far-fetched here, so initially good engage coming through, it's flash though, the hook coming through, and here's what you hate. As Nautilus, when you get hostile takeover, this extra attack speed, your auto-attack roots your teammates, they can't do anything. Even Holy Phoenix was forced to use the cleanse, so he's not just killing his teammates. When the re-engage finally comes through from the side of Starscreen, they've used everything in the tank, they don't have anything to fight for, so it just ends up being your front laners not being able to get out, and they will get cleaned up.
As part of the power of that hostile takeover, we talked about it a little bit with the Tryndamere, but also with things like the Ornn, with the LeBlanc, with the Volibear who are running into you. If you are in a choke point like that, it's very easy to lock you up. For the moment, though, Istanbul Wildcats still very much in this game. 1,600 gold behind, and PSG now with a little bit more pressure. But you can see Holy Phoenix 2 items, Kraken, Phantom Dancer already complete. If he is given any time in a fight, just to auto-attack, he is going to do so much work. 7 though, good charm! Almost dodged away, but not in time. PSG gain control of a single bush, and with it, take Seren's life.
The reaction was there for Seren, but the charm still stopped the distortion, and thus he was just falling down. And now with members from PSG who's pushed in the mid lane, they can move up towards the top side just to shadow or allow Bay to push in on the turret. They don't really lose anything, but they'll need to be quick about it. They'll need to some members back, because on the next wave that's now coming in the mid lane, that's where Wildcats will look to try and get some aggression on the mid lane turret, but with Hanabi already shifted in there, they won't get what they wanted.
Hanabi obviously very happy to be left alone. Hullbreaker on him, but the rest of PSG want to look for a little bit more action as they chase down Holy Phoenix. He jumps away with the rocket jump. TP's coming in as well as PSG might look for more of a fight. Counter TP used here by Starscreen. Has the call of the Forge God. Bay off towards the side. Starscreen now a little bit isolated as Fair tries to join his teammate. Bay going in with a charm. No! Stormbringer away. Doesn't get across the wall, but the jump comes back in. Call of the Forge God going in. Zuhan gets a reset out of the bailout, but still dies to the Ornn once again. Farfetch picking up kills left, right, and center this game as Bay dives forward once again. Charm jumped by Holy Phoenix 1-for-1.
But you can see how much both teams wants to utilize their aggression. A little over-aggression though from the side of Wildcats, and now 30 seconds until the Ocean Drake despawns. They're still looking to trying to retain control around the river and the Draken area.
Well, importantly for PSG, they don't have a jungler for 15 of these seconds. Like, he is dead, so they need to have control of this area, because otherwise Istanbul Wildcats could just run it down. No ultimates on the side of the Wildcats, no Call of the Forge God, no Stormbringer, no easy ability to chase PSG down, and all they're doing is trying to delay, trying to wait for Zuhan to be back with his team.
Look at the guns though coming through from Unified. This is incredibly scary. If he starts stacking up the chakrams, having a team fight around this area will be incredibly difficult from Wildcats. They still don't have their ultimates, except for on the LeBlanc.
They know he's there, they know he's alone. He jumped in, dragging down to
3,009
to the wall. PSG, can you answer? Long-range Moonlight Vigil. PSG pounce. Ferret down. Farfetch next to follow. You have to feel he'll fall. Zuhan diving forward. Bay following up. Holy Phoenix, no escape. Jump as far away as you like. PSG will hunt you down. A double for Zuhan, a dragon for PSG. Starscreen the last man standing, but not for much longer. PSG with the ace.
They knew he was there, he just didn't care. He had the mega stacked, and as soon as he jumped in there, the cooldown is so low on the now ultimate. He already had it again. He set up the fight beautifully. Crucially, Unified still had the Moonlight Vigil, and once again from the side of Wildcats, they didn't have ultimate going into this fight. It was only LeBlanc, and that doesn't give you anything in the team fight. So when this beautiful ultimate comes through from Hanabi, there is nothing to do from Wildcats. The setup was there, and it's just clean up from the side of PSG.
Great stuff from Hanabi as well to have the Mega Gnar bar ready and waiting in that moment. Jumped over, hit the dragon once or twice, but already had it primed and ready. For anyone wondering why Wildcats knew that Hanabi was there before they had vision, the dragon attacked. So when you're in that bush, the dragon will attack you. Immediately Wildcats are like, there's someone in there, let's put a control ward in. But they weren't weren't ready for Hanabi waiting in the darkness. Look at that spike.
And just like that, a mountain has been built. Almost feels like Mount Everest that Wildcats will now have to climb to get back into this game. Because yes, they did have their carry in Holy Phoenix, but still not on 3 items. And Unified looking on par with them in terms of the itemization, sitting very comfortably on that Gale Force and LDR. Obviously very good against the front line that we currently see from Wildcats.
And it's one of those unfortunate situations where if Holy Phoenix had the 3 kills that are currently sitting on Farfetch, they'd be in a much stronger position. Maybe he'd even be up towards that IE right now, but because he can't just unleash with those auto attacks, he's now currently in the bottom lane with Farfetch, and PSG are just pushing in. 2 ranged minions left in this push. They'll take the inhibitor tower, they'll take the inhibitor as well. Down towards the bottom side, Farfetch caught out, he's dead. As Hanabi gnars him into the wall.
What was he doing there?
Well, Holy Phoenix and Farfetch were pushing out. Farfetch tried to back in that little bush. And then Hanabi was like, hey, no backing on my watch.
But 5 versus 4, and it looks like PSG, they want to continue. 22 minutes into the game, they're looking for an end.
Everfrost roots up Holy Phoenix, he jumps back, heals up. Call of Portugal coming in again, wants a charm onto Ferret. Hostile takeover binds them all berserk. Holy Phoenix kills off his own teammates as Kaiwing claims the kill credit, and Holy Phoenix can only stand and watch as his team lays wasted beside him. Holy Phoenix trying to do what he can, stunned up once again, back to the fountain. But back to the drawing board, it seems, for the Wildcats. PSG with their first win of MSI 2022.
And it is so dominant this time around as well. Every member on PSG was shining. Very difficult to pinpoint one player you want to call the carry. And now beyond the Gnar, absolute performance in those team fights. Kaiwing as well with the ultimates from Renata multiple times, finding the best angle from the hostile takeover and the shifting, rotation, the reading of play. Yes, Wildcats were dictating the pace in the early game, but every time they were moving to one part of the map as the first one, the response was there immediately for PSG, trying to pick up a few kills every time an objective was taken by Wildcats.
And the thing for Wildcats is just a few times you're a bit too greedy, you know? A few times Farfetch was a little bit overstepped. A few times you look for a kill instead of just the plates, and because of that, PSG were able to get themselves on the board and fight back, and now this group is really up in the air. RNG obviously far and away the best team. They're going to get first unless something miraculous happens. But then you have 3 teams at 1 and 2. Red, Wildcats, and PSG all sit on a tied scoreline right now.
Yeah, this is for sure the one where the competition is looking incredibly close between these 3 teams. And I feel like this group right here from the smaller regions coming through is going to be one of the more interesting ones to follow as well, because the competition for that second seed is so